businesses. So I think it's important that not only we talk the pace for University Park, but we talk as a region. So Laverne, I think that's something we all need to get together on, talk about as a region, because if we can increase the times that they show up, once an hour is not enough if we're really trying to do what we say we're trying to do.
But first, Mr. Scott, I'm sorry, the reason, you're more than welcome to join our workshop with Jessica. What we've done was, they're going to have a bus just for University Park. We're going to do a pilot program with 2. That's the way it started years ago, but it wasn't voted up. But now I have a board that's willing to do that. And the buses will work within the village 24 hours, 7 days a week. They'll have our name, University Park, on it, and we're making it so it'll go in and out. So that way, a lot of people they would love to live out here, but the transportation stops after 6:45. So what we're going to do is have our own buses, our own schedules, and they will connect to Park Forest, which goes 24 hours. They go from there to Chicago Heights, and they'll go from Park Forest, Chicago Heights, and they'll go to Madison. So that way, they'll always have a connectivity getting in and out. Then the kids could have part-time jobs, because some families only have like 2 family homes, and that way everybody can work. And also we talked in the board at the meeting of the Veterans Service. They're thinking about bringing Earth. They're going to bring the Earth, I think, in the spring, and they are looking to bring the Veterans Village here. That will be 75 units they're looking to build, and once they do that, that will encourage, because a lot of veterans have said they would love to live here, but their issue is transportation as well. So we're talking to them about that. They have bought the parcel already. They paid for it. They bought Cityscape, so that's already done. So I'm really happy about that. And now they're talking about having a town hall. They're talking about having a job fair here, which they want to train the people here in University Park to help them build it. And then they will be living here, and then they'll start building. I think it's a total of 75 units there. And the thing that I love about it, anywhere there are veterans, there's a cyber system. I know our trustee Bruce can talk about that. They will be connected to a cyber. How can I say it? Well, anyway, it's like a very high-end police ordinance organization that once you have veterans in your area, you have automatic security, and they go all around, and you can't touch them. And they've showed us that in areas of Univ where they are now, the crime has decreased tremendously because they embed these cameras in a system that protects those veterans. You can't touch them. Once they get there, that's automatic.
Share that. We share so much negativity, we share positivity. Please.
So we're looking for that, and they'll be coming here, I think in the spring, to talk about the job fair, and after that, they'll start building.
Wonderful. Wonderful information. All right. So, Madam Mayor, as we talk about, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No one introduced.
Let's talk about the audit.
Okay, you go with the audit, and then we'll. Okay.
So there's been, I know I've seen news articles and, the wind, and there's been a lot of talk about, auditing in the village. And, it's something that just needs to be talked about. I know you had a meeting on Tuesday about it, but there's some people here in the room and watching on TV as soon as they see this video that wasn't privy to that meeting. So I want you all to kind of talk about, the audit situation, what happened, where we're moving to, and how do we move forward.
So, as everyone knows, or some may not know, the village has been in the news lately in regards to the misuse of TIF funds over the past several years within the village of University Park. The village, 2 years ago, engaged an organization to do a forensic audit on our TIF accounts, looking at the use of TIF funds, both authorized and unauthorized, and to put in place systems to prevent this use of TIF funds, illegal or unauthorized use of TIF funds from occurring again. The direction the village is going is we're going in a direction of 100% transparency. I think that's what our residents demand, that's what our stakeholders and economic department partners demand, our businesses within University Park. our village board, and various other people. Our goal is to move forward, identify the shortcomings of the process, and try to put in place practices and systems to prevent this from occurring again. This includes a 4-part approval process for any interfund transfers of TIF expenditures. That approval process will start from our accounting side, economic development, going to our village attorney for attorney sign-off, to me for final approval before coming to the board for a formal vote through motion to move any TIF expenditures from those accounts into various funds for TIF reimbursements and various other TIF uses. I think in doing this and showing this transparency, I think it provides a little bit of comfort for our industrial park partners in knowing that they are going to get their TIF reimbursements in a timely manner, that the taxes they pay into these TIFs are used in a legal manner, in an efficient and effective manner, and also it creates in my opinion, a window to the future for the Village of University Park. As you read these news reports, the village has always been very much transparent in regards to the ongoing review that's going on with our financial status. We've always been very open and very clear in regards to our status and what we're doing to move forward. As the village manager of this municipality and being over the day-to-day operations, I'm very hopeful and know for a fact that the village will recover from these negative news stories that have been put out. I know for a fact that we have assurances in place to ensure that none of this unauthorized use of TIF dollars are going to be occur, or any unauthorized use of any dollars, taxpayers' dollars within the village. The key is moving forward, and what I want to do is use University Park as a case study for other villages and other municipalities. The use of TIF funds is a very, very interesting subject because there are not a lot of safeguards in our state laws and local ordinances to really oversee the use of these funds. A lot of the use of the funds through malfeasance or illegal transfers, or however you want to define it, these things would not have been known if not reported by the village. That should be made very, very, very significantly important. There are no checks and balances other than reports that we submit to the state, and even those reports are not reviewed by the state, they're just accepted by the state for public view. So there will really be no avenue where individuals will know how the village used their funds. So we have to make that clear, right? We have to narrate or put out the right narration of really what occurred. The village self-reported that, hey, we have an issue here, and we want to know how to fix it. Being a law enforcement professional, and now being the village manager, I think it's important that if illegal actions take place or actions that are not authorized, that the appropriate authorities are notified, the appropriate investigations take place, and those involved in past are held accountable for these actions. Accountability is first and foremost the key. The accountability of taxpayers' dollars and the use of it that was not authorized. Number two, accountability and holding those who are responsible for these things to be held accountable to the highest level of standards. And number three, to provide a mechanism for our residents to restore faith in the Village University Park, as well as our economic development partners. I will tell you, my door is open. Our books are open, wide open. You know, if anybody wants to file a FOIA request, they're open. And there's no restriction to displaying these records or even telling the story, the narrative of what happened or what occurred. Because, again, in order for this village to move forward, there has to be accountability, there has to be transparency, and people have to be held accountable, as well as we have to put in mechanisms to restore the faith in, number one, our economic base, number two, our residents, first and foremost our residents, second, our economic base, and thirdly, to those in the Southland as well as in the region, because this is a really significant issue. I have went to meetings and I've talked to managers from other villages, and they wanted to come and talk to us and talk to our finance department and figure out, hey, how did you discover this? Maybe we're having this in our village, or we want to make sure this doesn't happen in our town, you know? Look at a lot of these financial issues that you see in small towns in downstate Illinois. You have millions of dollars that was embezzled or used in a manner that was illegal for years, 20, 30, 40 years. And there was never any checks and balances in place. So I want University Park to hold the example of reforming our financial status, reforming the checks and balances in regards to expenditure uses when it comes to economic development dollars, and actually putting a placehold in expanding economic development. And the reason I say this to you now is when I have these economic development meetings and I meet with these developers, that is the very first question they ask. Well, if I come here, how do I know that my money is protected, that I put in for economic development? How do I know I'm going to get my rebate or my reimbursement based on my development costs that I put here? And we have to put these reassurances in place to ensure that our economic development partners that we're acting responsibly going forward. So you will see University Park in the news again and continuously. Every time a development is made, the village will do a press release. We will be transparent and open, and we will do this. I will tell you, one thing significantly I would say is, you see an article from the Southtown in regards to the county treasurer stating that he is requesting the county board to look in suing University Park for the misuse of TIF funds based on a transaction that occurred out of one of our TIFs. And he's very poignant in this statement. And the ironic part of things is we called the treasurer's office and said, hey, county treasurer, there's these funds here that we may have improperly distributed, or maybe some issues here. How do we go about rectifying it? And then he goes to the news and say, we want University Park to be sued to get these funds back. And he says he discovered these things, and I'm looking at this news article and I get a call from the Southtown, and I said, really? The county treasurer said that he discovered this, and and he wants to come after University Park for these funds. So I asked the Southtown, well, who's his source? Well, he said that somebody from his treasurer's office got a phone call. I said, well, he got a phone call from an agent of the village of University Park. So that's how the county treasurer found out. So that's how information gets skewed in the media, and how people try to negatively display University Park and have to come out as a village manager and the mayor, and as well as our board members have to come out and change that narrative to the right narrative, to the right story. And I reach out to our economic development partners every day, and when this occurred, this news story came out, literally, my phone rang the next day. All the businesses in our industrial park called and said, what's going on? Oh my God. And I was prepared to answer these questions. And our economic development partners, as you see, are very calm. They're happy with the results that we're doing. They're getting their reimbursements in a timely manner. And we're going to continue to move forward as far as economic development. So I think it was important that we address this issue, because I think that's one of the elephant in the room type of stories that we have in University Park, especially when it's tied to economic development. And I think the residents and people out there and potential people that want to do economic development in University Park really need to know the true story and what we have in place to do better.
Now, let me say this. Being in the marketing space and doing what I've done for years, I know that there's always two sides to a story. And in the media, especially in the Southland, when we start doing things well, people try to tear you apart. And we, as residents, as viewers, as takers of that media, we're so quick to judge and so quick to lash out without finding out the entire truth. And so I challenge everybody in this region to challenge what you hear negatively and find out if it's true. If it's true, it's true. Call a spade a spade. If something was wrong, it was wrong. But we always have to protect our region, because if we're trashing it, nobody else is coming and everybody else is laughing.
Would you say that again? And again.
So it's very, very important that we protect our home.
Yes.
Because other businesses are looking to come out
say
here.
that all the time.
If we say, oh, the University Park or Matson or Olympia Fields is in shambles, guess what? They're laughing at us. Oh, come to Orland Park. Oh, come to Tinley Park. It's great. So I say that every village has problems.
Right.
Every village has problems, but it's how we put the word out there. They're not gonna be your best friend. They're not gonna put your best foot forward in the media. Because why? It sells ratings. How many times have you told a bad story, and then how many times have you told a good story? Everybody knows that. Good stories don't sell. So they're gonna constantly put up negative energy, negative news. That's why Donald Trump won the White House, because people like negativity. So they put him on there for free advertising all year long. He didn't have to spend any money. Did he? All right. Every day there's an article about what he's doing. But the real issues that are affecting our communities are not being presented. We're just talking about what he said about somebody. And so I challenge our community to be smarter than that, to be better than that, because we are better than that. We have some very bright people in our community. There are people who are accomplished, and we shouldn't fall for these media tricks. That's all they are. They're tricks to bring us apart. Crabs in a barrel, you guys have heard it before. We have to grow. It's time to grow and go. And so that's the main reason that we are here, because we got to grow. We can't keep doing the same thing over and over again. Somebody tries to do something well, the media tears them apart, and everything falls apart. We can't do that anymore. We got to stand by our leaders. If they're wrong, hold them to it. Stand by them and make them better. But don't tear them down and throw them away, because then who's next? Somebody else. As soon as they do well, the media's going to tear them down as well. I'm a firm believer that you can't have one Jesse Jackson. You got to have a village of people who are doing things. Because if you tear down Jesse Jackson, Operation Push is still going to move on. So that's the way we operate as a chamber, and that's the way we have to operate as a community, where it's not just the mayor. Don't put it all on the mayor. It's the whole community. If she does something well, the whole community should be behind her. If she does something wrong, the whole community should be in her face holding her accountable, but not throwing her away. That's the difference. Does that make sense? All right. So I want to move on for the sake of time. I don't want to preach.
I think you know a little bit of it.
I get excited about this kind of stuff. So I want to, yeah. So, yeah, can we bring on Tamara?
Not Tamara, Lauren.
Lauren, I'm sorry, Lauren.
Here you go.
Okay, well, I will be brief. But I just wanted to say thank you very much, Mayor Covington and Board of Trustees. I'm honored to be here tonight to speak with you for a few minutes. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Lauren Staley Ferry. I'm currently a member of the Will County Board, serving in District 9. So I serve some areas of Joliet, the Fairmont area, and Lockport. I have some precincts in Homer and New Lenox, and then the entire city of Crest Hill. So I work very closely with Joliet and Crest Hill, the Fairmont area, and Lockport. University Park is an area that, as a county board member, we need to continue to focus on and advocate for. The county has been a good partner, I believe, and we want to continue that path. Back in 2014, I know there was some discussion about it already, but the county executive and the county board did approve an intergovernmental agreement with the Village of University Park for the reconstruction of the University Park, the mile-long stretch in front of Governor's State. And we did do the match for $400,000. And it was a great project that the county was advocating for. Yes, yeah, it was an unprecedented first time that had been done. And we would like to continue to be a partner in that way. We know it's something important, and economic growth is something that's happening all over, and we would like to continue to help bring that here. You know, as a county board member, we do hear a lot about the traffic. That's a hot topic. And, you know, so we're hearing a lot about that. I had the opportunity to meet with Bob Schillerstrom this morning, who was the chairman of the Illinois Tollway. So to just try to get some information, and for us as county board members to really advocate to him and let him hear our voice, that we understand that there is traffic and we want safety and However, we need to find that balance between economic development and finding that safety with infrastructure and all the traffic. And also, put a little pressure on helping us to find funds as well. You know, it's very hard to continue to, you know, search for grants and, you know, to help areas like this. And the county, you know, will obviously advocate and try and do what we can as far as funding goes. But we need all, you know, everybody needs all the help that they can get. These projects, these road projects are very expensive. And I think we all know the state doesn't have a lot of money either. So we are looking for creative ways to fund these projects. But the county is very, again, we advocate, we want to be a great partner to University Park. We also, I believe, you know, provide resources such as the mobile workforce truck that comes out every Tuesday, I think.
Yep, every Tuesday.
It's got morning hours and afternoon hours, so that
9 to
is
3.
yeah, so that is to help residents find, you know, find jobs with resume creation, interviews, anything of that sort. So any kind of resources that we can help and bring out here is what we really would like to continue to do. I am also a candidate for Will County Clerk. So the primary election is coming up on March 20th. And the clerk's office is a vital piece of the county. They hold all of the vital records, so marriage certificates, death certificates, birth certificates. They do tax extension, $1.6 billion in tax extension each year, which a lot of people don't know about. But the largest portion of the county clerk's budget is the election process. And so for me, it is a priority to you know, talk about access as well and making sure your vote is protected and making sure people feel comfortable when they go out to vote. So for me, you know, as a candidate and, you know, hopefully the next county clerk, priorities for me will be more early voting places. I know that, you know, there aren't many early voting locations out here. And if there are, they're for that village's residents only. And so it's an opportunity for me to look into finding more early voting locations. There's also been a lot of issues, I think, with access and making sure that voters feel comfortable when they go to vote. I've heard a lot of stories about, you know, polling places being in, you know, right next to police stations or areas that people may not feel comfortable going to. And I think we need to make sure that the integrity of the election process is there and that we are looking for ways to bring these types of resources and access to areas like University Park. There are 430,000 registered voters right now in Will County, and in the last municipal election, voter turnout was 18%. And so I think with, you know, a lot of these things being a priority, you know, we can try and change that. You know, we need people to get out and vote, and we need them to feel comfortable. We need them to feel comfortable with the election judges and make sure that they're trained properly. You know, refresher training courses for veteran judges, I think, is a good idea. You know, engaging maybe some younger people to, you know, help with new technology is a good idea. But for me, you know, protecting your right to vote and making sure people feel comfortable and get out there to vote is top priority. I've spent the last 11 years in the private sector, as well as being on the county board, so spent that time in process improvements. So we'll always be looking for ways to improve processes. Our current clerk's office has done a good job. The staff there is very experienced and knowledgeable, but there's always ways to improve. And, you know, talking to the mayor and other, you know, other areas, I talk to a lot of different municipalities and areas who have early voting sites, and, you know, you hear a lot about how things can be improved. And that would be, you know, that's what I do. I look at things and I find ways to improve them, and I think that's going to be a priority for me. If you have any questions, I also think we talked about too, informational sessions coming out to you instead of, you know, everybody, it's easy to go on a website and, you know, look at early voting sites or look at a ballot, but sometimes people want to ask questions and it's not easy to call. So I think I love the idea of making the clerk's office accessible, once a month to come out and give an update on what's happening there. If there's an election, definitely once a month, so people can ask questions in person. I was at a meeting recently where people were, confused about, early voting sites and what can take place there. So, just really, I think that's a great idea to help keep people informed and able to have them ask questions. So, I think that's all I have.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I know right now, currently Nancy Boots has been a very good friend to me and to the village, and she's retiring. And I would like to give you statistics that's going to kind of blow you away. For the last 80, correct me if I'm wrong, Lauren, 80 years, there's never been a Democratic clerk in Will County. It's been 80 years. This will be the first one ever. It's been held by Republicans. There's nothing against that. I mean, Nancy was a great person, but we never had a Democratic clerk in 80 years in Will County. So Lauren is going to be the first, hopefully. So, Lauren, I'm sorry, tell me.
It's Lauren Staley Ferry. I have some information on the table over there as well, some cards and notepads. Yep, and I have a website, Facebook page, Lauren for Clerk, 4 is my website, Facebook page. So please reach out, and I'll stick around and answer any questions you may have as well.
And I like the fact that I'm on Will County Advisory Committee there as well. And I told you I'm on a lot of committees. And it was very, very nice of them when we went and we had the money. We didn't know about the CBTG grant, that's the advisory committee that I hold on. And they were telling us, you've been doing it wrong. So I'm glad being on that committee, they led us, and that's how we got a lot of money for road development, for the $170,000 we got for Black Hawk. Those are the things that they're helping us to do, and by me being involved with that, I'm very happy. And then I bring my reports to my board, now they listen, and it's working out really good. I thank my board again for what they're doing. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, it's so exciting to hear about all the developments taking place here,
Yes.
and hopefully we can continue to advocate for that. It's great to see.
I have one question. We met over the holiday, right? Christmas holiday in Crete. And I was really fascinated by the story that you told and during your campaigning time, because we're very familiar with campaigning. And you told me that you strapped your kid came along with you when you knocked on doors, and just to let everybody know about that. That was pretty interesting.
Oh, well, yes. I mean, I have an 8-year-old son, so he does come with me. Otherwise, I would not see him very often because, as some of you know, campaign time keeps us very busy. But yep, he would come with me in a wagon, and we would walk down the street, and he would help me put my signs in, and he would come to the door, and he still does. Now he's a little bit older, so he rides his scooter. But again, it's nice to have him with me in those times. Thank you.
Thank you, Lauren. So I know if everyone is looking at their agenda, we skipped over the resident community experience, and I want you to know that we're not skipping over that. We will get to that. But I do see someone in the audience as a special guest, a good friend of mine who just walked in. So Ms. Debbie Myers Martin, please come up here, because she has been the former mayor of Olympia Fields, and now she is running as well. So I definitely want to give her an opportunity to speak with us to the community.
Excuse me, we have a person from Governor's State that's leaving, and I'm gonna catch you. I'd like you to come up for a second just before Debbie speaks. Anything to say about Governor's State University, which is a prime for our
Just going to speak about Governor's State right after.
Yes, please. That's my friend.
So let me just say, Governor's State has been a partner of Chamber 57 and the Matson Business Association before we were Chamber 57. Since our inception, Governor's State has always been a good partner. We actually awarded President Neyman a couple years ago for a fine service, and anything that the Chamber can do for Governor 57, you already know that you have our full support. So.
Thank you. My name is Maureen Kelly. I'm the Director of Government and Community Relations for Governor's State University. I wasn't prepared to speak tonight, but I just wanted to thank the mayor and the board and the chamber for this event. It's been very informative. We're proud to be located in University Park, and we're proud to partner with the Chamber and other civic organizations in the region. We are a full-service four-year university. We're kind of fighting to bounce back after the state budget impasse. We're doing the best we can. Unfortunately, our international enrollment has taken a hit for reasons beyond our control, but we're doing everything we can to improve our transfer numbers, our freshman numbers, and our graduate numbers. So we're strong. We're happy to employ people from the region. We hope to be a good partner, and if anybody has any questions, our website is very informative, and you can stop in or just give the university a call, and we're happy to answer any questions.
Thank you so much, I appreciate you coming.
Good evening, everyone. Very happy to be here. I apologize for being late. I had another event that I had to attend. But I want to thank the mayor and the chamber for hosting this state of the business in University Park. Mayor Covington and I have worked together for a very long time trying to bring economic development to the Southland, just because our residents deserve to have the best of everything there is to offer when it comes to economic development, when it comes to services, when it comes to local government. We know that our people deserve that, and certainly reaching out to the ICSC, talking to 65,000 retailers is important. But it's also important because economic development means different things to different people. And for some, it's shopping opportunities. But for others, it's increasing our daytime population. That is how your restaurants survive, because there are people in town to frequent those restaurants. They count on how many, and this is what they say, how many fannies they can put in the seats. Repetitively. That's how restaurants survive. And we want to have everything. We want every business to be successful. We want workforce development so that employers will come because they know that they can have the workforce that can do the job. And so therefore, that's an element of economic development. Not everyone thinks of that. But certainly, we don't want to always have to travel to Orland and Mokina and Tinley to find a decent restaurant to have dinner. We did studies, we did a retail corridor study where we export 85% of the people that live in our town. They have to go out of town to find a white tablecloth restaurant. That's ridiculous. That is ridiculous. And we know that it's ridiculous. And so that means if you know, you have to do better. You have to reach out and you have to be persistent and dedicated and committed to the principles of economic development. So I appreciate you having this particular panel, and we want to move that around, as I know that you are, from town to town.